Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack some complex ideas and hopefully make them really useful for you.
Great to be diving in again.
So today, we're tackling a big one, finances. But maybe not in the way you always hear about it.
Right. It's not just about spreadsheets and stock tips, is it? It goes much deeper.
Exactly. It's about those quieter decisions, the ones happening maybe subconsciously, that really steer your life. We want to talk about real financial empowerment.
It really is foundational. I mean, think about peace of mind or having the freedom to chase big goals. It underpins so much.
And that leads us straight into our topic for this deep dive, maturity and finances, choosing growth over excuses. We're looking at how your mindset, your fundamental approach, can be the deciding factor. It often determines if you build lasting wealth or just struggle along.
And we're drawing heavily today from a really insightful blog post by IMAR Learning Solutions. They're part of Seedling Financial Education plus
Yeah, it's compelling stuff. What I liked is how they use these real-life stories, sort of like case studies, to show two very different paths.
It makes the contrast incredibly clear, doesn't it?
It really does. So our mission today for you is to really get under the hood of these stories. We're not just retelling them.
No, we want to pull out the lessons, the psychology, the strategy, why things turned out so differently for people who started in, well, pretty similar places.
We're aiming for those aha moments, the insights that can actually help you shift your perspective. Ready to dig in?
Let's do it. So the source introduces us to Alex and Jamie, both 30, both facing financial headwinds. Pretty relatable situations, actually.
Yeah, nothing extraordinary about their starting points, which makes their diverging paths even more telling, I think. It really speaks to personal agency.
Totally. Take Alex. The post describes him as being stuck in a cycle of excuses.
Okay.
He didn't have much financial guidance growing up, which, let's be honest, is pretty common.
Sure, lots of people are in that boat.
And this led him to lean pretty heavily on credit cards, always thinking, I'll pay them off later.
Ah, the classic later trap. We've all been there, right? That feeling that future you will magically be more disciplined.
Exactly. It's optimism bias, really. But for Alex, later just didn't happen.
So the bills just kept piling up.
Piling up, the credit card debt grew, and so did the anxiety. But instead of tackling it head on, his go-to was, okay, I'll start saving next month. Or, I just need to get through this month.
Deflection, basically, pushing the problem down the road.
Precisely. And the source points out these weren't just harmless delays. They became real barriers.
Oh, so?
Well, he'd make impulsive buys. Not huge things maybe, but little treats because he felt he deserved them after a tough week.
That self-soothing thing that actually makes the financial stress worse.
Exactly. So what started as small excuses kind of snowballed into major roadblocks he built himself.
It's a really clear picture of how lacking financial know-how combined with that reactive approach can just dig you deeper. Actions driven by emotion, not strategy.
Absolutely. And backed up by excuses every step of the way.
Okay, so that's Alex's path. But then we have Jamie, same age, also facing challenges. What was different for her?
Well, Jamie also had hurdles. Student loans were a big one for her right out of college, a real weight.
Sure, that's a tough start.
But here's the fascinating part. That burden didn't crush her. It actually became her turning point, as the source puts it. It kind of forced her to engage.
So instead of despair, it triggered action.
Exactly. It triggered what we'd call a growth mindset. She didn't see the loans as this impossible mountain, but as a problem she needed to solve, a challenge to meet.
Okay, so what did she do?
She didn't just hope. She got proactive. She built a budget, a detailed one, and she tracked her expenses diligently, made it a habit.
That consistency is key, isn't it?
It really is. And here's where her approach really diverged from Alex's. When life threw those inevitable curveballs, an unexpected car repair, say.
Yeah, happens to everyone.
She didn't panic or fall back on excuses.
Yeah.
She actually saw them as chances to reassess. Her thinking shifted from, oh no, I can't afford this, to
Okay, how can I make this work?
exactly, that problem-solving approach.
Yeah.
It's not just wishful thinking, it's strategic. Financial flexibility in action.
That mental pivot is so powerful. And did she stop there?
Nope. She went further. She actively sought out financial education,
Yeah.
attended workshops, read books on personal finance.
She basically took charge of her own learning curve.
She did. Learning about saving, investing, how to truly live within her means, and over time, that commitment just completely reshaped her financial world.
It really underscores that financial literacy isn't just about, I don't know, complex theories. It's about practical skills.
Absolutely. Skills you apply and adapt. The source mentions a stat. Building an emergency fund can stop something like 69% of Americans from living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow, that's a huge number.
It is. And Jamie, by proactively building that fund, didn't just do something smart. She deliberately protected herself from that very common, very stressful vulnerability. She pulled herself out of that potential statistic.
Okay, so we've seen these two different journeys unfolding. Let's talk about the outcomes, the real-world consequences and rewards.
Yeah, the contrast is, well, it's stark. Alex's path, the excuses, the reactive spending, it led straight into ongoing debt, constant stress.
And his credit score?
Plummeted. Down to 550, the source says. And that's not just a number, it's a real obstacle.
Right. Makes it hard to get a loan, rent an apartment. It can even affect getting certain jobs, can it?
It absolutely can. It basically boxed him in financially. He felt trapped, always blaming outside factors instead of his own choices. It's this heavy burden, emotional and practical, that limits everything.
A sense of helplessness almost.
And it feeds on itself, right?
Yeah.
The struggle reinforces his belief that he's just not good with money, making it even harder to imagine breaking free. A really vicious cycle.
Okay, so that's the downside. What about Jamie, her proactive approach?
It was like unlocking door after door. Financial stability, yes, but also peace of mind, which is huge.
So tangibly, what did that look like?
The source details it.
Mm.
She paid off those student loans, built a solid emergency fund, started investing, and then by age 32, she actually bought her own home.
Wow.
And even traveled across Europe. It's like a blueprint for building financial freedom.
These aren't just material things, though. It sounds like she gained options.
Flexibility.
Exactly. Choice.
Yeah.
Agency. She got to design her life rather than feeling like her finances were dictating it. Alex felt constrained. Jamie created freedom.
So looking back at both stories, what are the core elements, the pillars, maybe, of financial maturity that explain this huge difference?
I think the first one, and it's maybe the most obvious but also crucial, is financial education.
Okay.
Alex, as we saw, kind of dismissed it, maybe felt overwhelmed by it. Jamie, though, she actively chased it, saw it as an essential tool.
It's easy to think financial id is super complicated, like only for Wall Street types. Right. But often it's the basics. Budgeting, saving, understanding how debt really works. The source really drives home its value, not just for making smarter choices, but for understanding your own situation, setting goals you can actually reach, and building a plan. It's about empowerment through knowledge.
Having that informed agency we talked about.
Exactly. And the data backs it up. People with decent financial literacy, they're 1.5 times more likely to budget effectively.
That's significant.
It is. And it suggests more than just knowing facts. It suggests understanding things like delayed gratification, compound interest, the real cost of borrowing. So for anyone listening, investing that time to learn about budgeting or investing basics really pays off. It boosts your financial literacy no matter where you start.
Okay, education is one pillar. What else separated them?
How they handled obstacles. Resilience. Because let's face it, life throws financial curveballs at everyone. Success isn't about avoiding them, it's about your response.
And Alex and Jamie responded very differently.
Night and day. When Alex hit a snag, he often fell into despair. He'd double down on the excuses, convince himself he just wasn't cut out for managing money. His situation felt fixed, unchangeable.
That's the fixed mindset kicking in, right? Believing your abilities are set in stone.
Precisely. And it's a trap because it stops you from learning or adapting. Jamie, on the other hand, she nurtured a growth mindset.
How did that look in practice?
She saw challenges not as proof she was failing, but as chances to learn and adjust. Unexpected bill? Okay, deep breath, reassess the budget, find a creative workaround. Setbacks were data points, not disasters, normal parts of the journey.
That ability to see setbacks as temporary and learnable moments, that builds resilience.
Absolutely. That growth mindset, believing you can improve through effort and learning, is just fundamental for navigating money. It lets you pivot, learn from mistakes, instead of getting stuck. It turns potential crisis into a lesson.
Which leads us perfectly into the next pillar, maybe the biggest one, the sheer power of mindset itself.
Yeah, this really encapsulates the difference. Alex's fixed perspective literally blinded him to his own potential for change. He genuinely seemed to believe his financial struggles were just who he was.
An unchangeable trait.
Whereas Jamie's growth mindset, that's what empowered her to tackle things head on. She believed she could learn, adapt, get better, and she put in the effort. It's not just being optimistic. It's a way of thinking that builds resilience and adaptability.
Essential skills for dealing with something as complex as personal finance.
Totally. It lets you see the financial system not just as something acting on you, but something you can interact with and influence.
Yeah, the source really nails it when it says shifting from excuses to growth lets you take back control. It's about changing that internal story you tell yourself.
And Alex and Jamie are just such powerful examples of this. Making excuses might feel easier moment to moment.
The path of least resistance.
But real maturity comes from stepping up, taking responsibility, and actively choosing to improve.
So bringing this all back to you, the listener, what does this mean for your financial path?
Well, the way forward seems pretty clear, based on Jamie's success. It means embracing financial education, finding ways to bounce back from setbacks, building that resilience, and, crucially, cultivating that growth mindset.
And the encouraging part is, it's never too late to start. Wherever you are right now, you can start making different choices. Choose growth.
That shift from feeling trapped by excuses to actively seeking growth and taking ownership, it's not just a nice idea. It's a real choice you can make day by day.
That really is the core message, isn't it? We've seen this stark contrast, letting excuses run your financial life versus choosing responsibility and growth. And that choice is always yours.
So as we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to think about. Reflect on your own financial journey for a moment.
Yeah, ask yourself, what's one specific financial excuse you've been leaning on? Maybe about saving or investing or even just having a tough money conversation.
And once you've identified it, think. What's one small, concrete action, something you could do literally today to start turning that excuse into a real step towards financial growth?
Just one small step, because the potential for change really is huge. And the rewards, that stability, that peace, those expanding opportunities, they're not out of reach. They are achievable.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll connect with you again soon.